You're locked in to the Chocolate Mass Show. Yes, people, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of the Chocolate Mass Show, and we're here with another People of Interest segment. And I'm here today with a very good friend of mine, an amazing musician, producer, singer, songwriter, manager, label owner. I don't know how many more I can give him, but just an all-around great guy as well. Luke, aka Targett, aka Madman. Thank you so much for being on today, bro.
Thank you so much for having me. That's got to be one of the best intros ever.
I think that's my best one I've done yet. I'm not going to lie.
I think so. Yeah, that was great.
How are you doing, mate? How are you?
Really good, thank you. Really good. It's Friday. I'm in the coming towards the end of my week off. But aside from that, it's been lovely.
Really, my first question before we start any official podcasting is: have you actually taken the week off?
Yes, I have. I've got emails sat in my mailbox that I haven't touched at all, and I am not going to touch until Monday morning.
Nice, because when I saw that on your story, I was like, I know this guy. He's going to do something. Even me asking you to do this, I was like, this kind of feels like work, but it's not work. But I thought, yeah, he's going to do something.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I don't mind things like this. Doesn't feel like work. This is enjoyable for me. I feel like I'm just having a chat with the mate, so it's fine for me. I don't mind at all.
Nice, perfect. And very quick, I don't mind if this gets kept in. You can't hear my washing machine, can you?
No.
Okay,
no, you're good. No washing machines.
That's good. I was thinking, please don't, but I don't need that in the recording. Right, so for those that don't know, obviously, like I say, from that intro, I've just given everybody a bit of an insight as to you do. But Luke, talk to me, mate. What is it? How would you describe yourself? What do you do? What is it you do? Tell me.
I like to call myself a creative enthusiast. I really love almost anything creative, especially musically. But I've recently been dabbling into like photography and video editing, not professionally, but the music is my bread and butter. But that's it. A creative enthusiast who loves to drink coffee. So, that's probably the short answer.
Nice. I really like that. Is there any coffee in particular? Are we gonna get some plug in here? Because when they listen to this and think we need to endorse him, what brand are coming at you?
Well, I tell you what, I probably have about several Nespressos a day. So those little Nespresso pods that you can get.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of them. I got a machine as a gift for one of their coffee making machines 2-3 years ago, and I use it religiously every day.
Nice. Fail. Yeah. Nice. And they've got that in West Key, haven't they? They're set up in the middle. West Key.
Yeah. So that middle part, and it's great actually. Here's a top tip. So if you're ever looking to grab a coffee whilst you're out, but you're feeling a bit stingy, you're a bit tight on cash, right? Go to an espresso bar and they give you a free coffee.
Do they actually?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So if you go up to that bar in West Key, they'll give you a free coffee to have.
What? I never knew that. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, guys, you've just learned something, and so have I.
So it's proper cheap, I know. But we'll be walking around, and they'll say, should we stop off at Costa or Starbucks or anywhere? And I look around and go, let's see if there's an espresso first, because that's where it's at.
But then with that, do you feel obliged to then have to buy something as well, or do you take the coffee and run?
I take the coffee and run.
I like it. Okay.
I think it depends on the size of the store, though, doesn't it? Because if it's a big store, you might have a couple of the. This was back when we could go in stores, of course. We had a couple of employees stood at the other end, so you'd sip away at your coffee, and then you'd kind of plan your exit, right, whilst they're on the other side. Whereas if it's a slightly smaller shop, of course, they're a bit closer to you, so they're speaking to you a bit more, and then you start to like the person, and then you feel obliged to buy something then. So it depends on the size of the shop.
Right. Do you know what? I'm a bit like that when it comes to service stations as well, because because you know me, I pee all the time. Yeah. And I go into a service station, I'm always like, I feel like I need to buy something. And there's times when if there's a queue, I'll come out the toilet, look and see the queue and think, yeah, I can run. And then I go in and don't buy anything. And other times I'm like, I feel like you're watching and judging me, so I'll buy something just to...
It's exactly the same thing. Yeah. And also as well, I feel like, when you stop off at a service station and get out, it's quite I don't know. For me, it's a way to, number one, it's good to stretch your legs. But number two, it's quite an experience. It's like, it almost feels like a road trip. So I'm like, I feel like I have to get something, let me get some treats for the car.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, to be fair. I used to, the one I used to stop at in Southampton, all the way to Southampton, always used to get those Graze bars, the lemon flatbread Graze bars. Oh, and the guy used to, because I used to do it like every week, the guy got to know, and I go in, and it made it less awkward then. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for my pea and my Graze bar. Then when he didn't have them, one day I went in stock. I didn't buy them. I said, no, mate, I'm not buying anything else. Yeah, I ain't got my lemon flapjacks.
Yeah. Well, this is why change what you like. You know, if you know what you like, why would you try something else? Just stick with what you know.
There you go.
And also, it's routine as well. You know.
Yeah, and we are stiflers for routine, as I'm sure we will find out during this pod. So I usually write all the questions down on my phone, but I'm using my phone. So yeah, everyone gets asked this question the first time you feature on here. First thing is pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? What say you?
Yay.
Yes. Do you know what? I think I've had more people on here that are now team yay. What would be? Are you like a ham and pineapple fanatic, or is it? Just I would have.
Shall I tell you what I am? And I've come to terms with this recently. I guess you could say I was in denial for a long time.
Right.
Not that I didn't like pineapple on pizza, but I just love sweet and savory. Mm-hmm. And if you could put anything sweet and savory, apple and cheese sandwiches. You ever had them?
Oh, never had that before. Oh, right.
So good, apple and cheese. In fact, you could even just take the bread away and just literally eat the apple with the cheese, and that's like having those little cocktail sticks with the grapes and the cheese and the pineapple and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, honestly, I'm a sweet and sour chicken. I love it.
All over that.
I love things like, I love bananas in my oats or something. I guess that's kind of like, because oats really are savory, aren't they? And
yeah, they are, to be fair.
So I just love sweet and sour. So if it's popcorn, it's sweet and salted. That's actually the best for me.
Hands down, I agree.
Yeah, hands down. So I take it you're a bit of a sweet and savory guy by the sound of it.
And it's so refreshing to hear, because most people I talk to, even like Holly, I don't think Holly's a big sweet and savory fan, and everyone's always like, no, like loads of people are like, no, you can't mix the both. But I'm like, that's like heaven. Of course
that is. Do you know what? I feel you. My missus as well, India, she's not a sweet and savory person at all. She's like, if it's savory, it's got to be savory. And if it's sweet, then it's sweet. It's either or. It's very clear cut. Whereas I'm like, yo, let's mix them.
Put it in a bowl, mix it, and let's see what happens.
And it tastes so damn good.
And it's not quite sweet and savory, but it's like chocolate and sweets. When I say that to people, they're like, no, they wouldn't mix. But I don't know if you ever remember, Dairy Milk Cadbury's had the like dairy milk fudge and wine gums mixed together. They were like marvelous mix-ups.
I never tried them.
Mate, they were amazing. And it just worked so well. I mean, like, you're eating like jelly beans and chocolate, and you're like, this shouldn't work, but it does. But everyone looked at me like I was a criminal when I was talking about it.
I mean, I guess that's kind of like fruity and chocolatey, isn't it? Like fruity and milky. And yeah, no, but I can imagine that would be delicious. It's another thing that I found the other day that I absolutely loved, and they start selling it in Aldi, so I was super happy about it. Chocolate with salted pretzels in it.
Oh yes,
that's a new level.
Have you ever had flips? The packets of flips.
Yeah. Oh yeah, love them.
Yeah. Wait, oh no, I swear we used to talk about them all the time, didn't we? The white chocolate ones.
Yeah. So you get the white chocolate fudge ones, and then you kind of get your generic. I think you get toffee ones now, toffee coated ones, and whatever. And Keith has made an appearance.
Here he is. Keith has made an appearance. Keith is here. Hello, mate. Here he is. I'm like Dr. Evil, ain't I? Look, there you go.
Yeah.
Have you got a question on the podcast, or you just here for the bants? Okay, he's just here for the bants.
This is where you tell me you're holding the world a ransom now.
Yeah, $54 billion.
Yeah. You know, I need to watch that. I've not watched it in so long.
It was I'm sure I saw it on, it might have been Amazon or something, and I was like, oh my god, yes, I'm gonna watch Austin Powers. And Mrs. just didn't look that impressed. She was like, it's not really my humor. I was like, to be fair,
really, it's
not everyone's cup of tea, but I love them. I love those films.
You know what? I used to. Which one was it? Was it International Man of Mystery? That was the first one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I had a big crush on the girl in that. I don't know. I can't remember her name.
I can't think of her name. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think so did I. And I think that's what I remember watching it when I was younger. Accidentally, I was at a friend's house. I don't know how, but I ended up watching it, and I couldn't tell my dad, obviously. And there's a reason why you like films when you're younger, and you don't realize until you sort of grow up, and you're like, it makes sense.
It makes sense. I think I like that film because of that lovely actor.
And with The Mask, I was saying about this the other day. I remember, like, The Mask is one of my all-time favorite films, and when I was younger, I loved it, like really loved it, even though I didn't realize that it's mobsters and gangsters, and actually quite serious. But I realized when I was younger, I loved it because of Cameron Diaz.
Right, yeah, of course. No, it does. No, it makes so much sense. I used to really like Charlie's Angels as well, and at first I thought it's because of the action. Then I realized, oh, come on, let's be honest, it's the Angels.
It's the Angels. Yeah, that's the reason we watched
Yeah,
it. We don't know nothing. You couldn't tell us what I couldn't tell you what the storyline is or what even
nope.
they're doing. But I like this film a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because I might say to somebody, "Oh, you know," I might say to India because she's a film fanatic. I say, "Oh, I like that film when I was younger." She's like, "Oh, really? That's a rubbish film." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's a great film." And then I might watch it again or go back and look at it and go, "Okay, I think I might know why I like
It
it."
makes sense.
It
You
does
didn't
make
know it
sense.
at the time, but now you do.
Yeah, exactly. I do now. So I was saying, boys will be boys, I guess.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. I've just hang on a second. Let me just grab this. He's commandeered my lap now, mate. It's fully happened.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
So speaking of females, again, a question I ask everyone: are you a boobs or a bum man?
Bum.
That was you didn't even hesitate. There was no hesitation there at all.
I want to be able to look at my girl from behind and not see a 12-year-old boy. I want to see. You know, I want to know that there's some peach behind there, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not.
I know that was so crude. So, but
listen, we keep it real on the pod. We keep it real on here, and that's
this is it.
I asked that question because someone actually messaged me and was like, "It's a random." He's like, "Love the podcast, but random question. Why do you ask everyone that?" I'm like, because I feel like it's a question that you kind of want to ask someone. Like even like some of the guys I've got like yourself that are high profile and what they do and stuff. I'm like. And you still deep down, you will wonder, are you a boobs or a bum? There's probably other questions, I imagine, but that one is one I feel like, yeah,
it says a lot about a person, you know. I think it says a lot about the person, you know. I think I've always been, I've always been a bum man, you know. I think.
Same. I'm blaming genetic defaults, but like it's a genetic defect for me. But also, this is one thing that obviously I can't ask you because you're not female, but one thing I'm going to ask. I'm interested in like, so for guys, we've got like, are you a boobs or a bum man? What is it for girls? Like, what do girls say? Like, are you a legs or an arms man? Are you a chest or an arms? I don't know. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah. Do you know? I don't. I don't think it's necessarily a precise feature that they look for. Like, is it big arms or a six-pack abs? But I think it's. Do you like cushion or do you like washboard?
Okay.
Because I guess whenever I've heard girls say what they look like in guys, I never hear any of them say, "Oh, I like it when they either like them muscular or shredded or something, or they like them to be a little cushiony, or big or slim." I think they have multiple. I think it's big or slim.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I remember talking to someone once I was just chatting to her, not like that, just talking. And she actually said to me, she's like, do you know what? She goes, I love me a scrawny guy. I was like, what? I was really intrigued. I was like, okay, like elaborate. Because obviously, I know you're big into fitness as well. Like we obviously we used to train together and stuff for those that don't know. I'm saying obviously like you knew. But for those guys that don't know, we used to train together and stuff. But for us, like, having muscle and being strong is quite important to us. So obviously hearing someone say, oh, I like someone scrawny. I was like, right, okay, I'm intrigued in that. She was just like, yeah. She goes, I just like my guy sort of. She's like, yeah, just really. And she was doing this and almost like she was crumpling like a tin can. I was like, right, okay, as
just to provide some context, what was she like? She
was just normal, to be fair, just like a normal girl. She wasn't into the gym or anything like that. So obviously, I imagine that's where the lack of sort of desire for a muscly person comes from, because she's not into the gym, it's not really her thing. But it was just specifically scrawny, because I mean, if anyone ever called me scrawny, I'd probably break down in tears and cry or punch. But I was just intrigued by it. I like hearing what the different perceptions are, because obviously, like I say, we see people of a certain way or trying to make themselves look better, and it's usually around muscle, isn't it? Building muscle. And we've got the two extremes, guys that are big or guys that are shredded. But hearing that, and then not even regarding, I don't care if they're not into the gym, that's fine. I was like, intrigued.
It's almost alien to us, isn't it? Because I guess, as growing up, we've been conditioned, especially somebody like me. My dad used to go to the gym. Obviously, you've been going to the gym for many, many years. We're conditioned to think of muscle as being fit and healthy. And for the most part, it tends to allude to a healthy lifestyle. But yeah, so it feels a bit strange when somebody goes against that, and we kind of go, what, really?
Yeah.
I guess because when you're younger and you start seeing a bit of muscle gain, you start thinking you're the bee's knees. You start walking around going, I know I've got bigger arms than everyone else here, and then it really shoots your ego down when you're younger anyway. When someone says, yeah, no, I don't like big guys, and you're like, what?
Yeah, what? Okay, and that's when you then realize, okay, if I am going to get bigger, it's really not for you, because you don't actually care. And that's one thing I did notice. I thought, training and everything would get you all the girls. I was like, this is going to be it. I grew up with chubby kids, so I thought this is my time. And I'd never forget someone turning around and saying to me, it was around college times, and she turned around and she said, oh my God, you're like a really hench big brother. Like, you could if someone's like on me or anything like that, you can just like interrogate him, like, "Arr!" And I just sat there and was like, I think I've completed the friend zone. I actually think I've won.
Yeah. I mean, well, there you go. I mean, that's just like the friend zone. It's kind of like when you're training, you think like you said, you think to yourself, it's going to entice all these girls, and but then really, it's just kind of, people either friend zoning you, saying you're like the big brother, or it's other dudes, other guys just going, so how do you get so big, bro? I love your arms. How did you get them like that? What's your diet, bro? And it's kind of like, I don't want attention from you. I want attention from them over there.
I know. And you know what? You then realize that obviously, and you all know, the deeper you get into it, you're kind of like, yeah, this is how it is. This is it. I'm now looking at other bros. I'm not actually looking at women. I'm looking at how did your quads look like that? How did your biceps get like that? And you think, this isn't why I started, but it's where I am now.
And I tell you what, you can tell by opening up your Instagram feed. I have more topless men on my Instagram feed than I do women in bikinis, because I don't follow them, because they're lovely to look at and I can appreciate the hard work they put into it. But I want to know how to get big arms myself. So I'm going to follow those guys.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's interesting about that. So I looked at my Instagram analytics, and it's gone up now. I'm 70% followed by dudes. So like, I feel like there's a lot more guys out there that are following me. Like, maybe they like the hamstrings. They're like, how do I get those hamstrings? That's what I'm selling myself on right now. But it's half. Yeah. Mate, someone said that on TikTok. It was like, I'm trying to watch this calf video, but all I'm looking at is the cake, and that was it. I was like, that's enough internet for me today.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and you can always tell when it's comp season, because I've got like a lot of friends who compete and stuff, and some of them that will send me their pictures just to see how they're doing, and I've just got multiple men's asses in tiny underwear on my phone at different stages of being lean. Some are shredded, some really need to get shredded. And I'm like, yeah, you can tell it's comp season because there's just dudes all up in my phone.
Yeah. And you know what? And the thing is, like, to us, it seems it eventually becomes kind of normal. But when you step back and think about it, it's kind of like really strange. And, if you're on public transport and you open up your Instagram, I actually started unfollowing a lot of accounts because I was seeing too many topless men and like in their underwear as well. And, there would be people next to me on public transport back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I would be quite self-conscious about what they,
looking over like,
what's going on there? And it's not what it looks like, I promise.
Well, it is, but it's not. I just turn around. Look at your phone.
Look, yeah, I mean, maybe I should just embrace it next time and just hold it up and go, don't you think that looks great?
Right. So I've done this. So I've tried this, and like, even to friends that are in the fitness world but aren't necessarily into, like, say, the bodybuilding, I'm like, look at that. Like, it's usually like a picture, a throwback of like Ronnie Coleman's back, and we know how ridiculous he looks. If anyone's watching this and doesn't, just search Ronnie Coleman back shot and you'll understand, like, all context is just given in that. And I remember just saying, look at that, and them still looking confused, like, what's so good about it? I'm like, what do you make this? That's insane. And they're like, it's disgusting. I'm like, you're disgusting. Go away from me. This is amazing. But
that's a disgusting opinion.
Yeah. Like, look at it with a more normal view, and you think, nah, this is a little bit weird. This is a little bit weird.
Yeah, you kind of have to take yourself out for 5 minutes, give yourself a little, personal time out, and just go, let's just review the situation. Just what's going on.
What is going on? Right. Okay. That's okay. This is happening. Right. Okay. And we move on.
Yeah. So much to my dismay, I did unfollow a lot of these accounts. There's some that, I don't know, I found that it got to a point where it was more
the topless photos were more sort of vanity and like, look what I've got, or they'll be topless in front of their Lamborghini, and I'm like, you know, I'm happy you've got this Lamborghini, that's great, but that's not why I followed you. I don't need to see this. And then it's like, yeah, I just felt like you don't need to follow so many of them.
No.
And a lot of the accounts that I follow as well, they go quiet at this time. This is their off season, so you know you don't see as many because no one wants to see a big 200 odd pound bloated mess. So a few more months time, I'm sure my feed will get active again.
Come summer, you're about to see that.
Yeah, exactly. Right, mate. Cool. So, well, that's the most important questions done. Pineapple is a yes, and bums are for the win. So, yeah, a little bit about you then, in the sense of what. So, you know, you're a creative man. You've got Madman, you've got Targett. Talk to me. What's Madman?
Yeah, sure. So Madman Music, basically, just to clarify, because I think I very kind of briefly explained earlier on in the pod. Obviously, I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I'm a producer. I develop artists. I do anything creatively within music. I love it. I love the sport, and I do it for the fun and, you know, as my job as well. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. So, you know, I play a variety of instruments. I play piano, drums, guitar. I sing. I produce all my own music. I mix them. And mixing is where you take the songs and you kind of craft them and sculpt them to sound like they should be on the radio. I go through all that whole process. I record everything myself. So, and now that sort of premise is laid out, Madman Music is my production label. This production label is where it allows me to work with artists, to develop them, to work with them and help take their career from, you know, either starting out or taking their demo ideas and taking it all the way up to a point that is good for radio release. We can then distribute it out to the world, you know, to like Spotify, iTunes, all that sort of stuff, or Apple Music. I don't think iTunes is a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And we work together on that front. I also create a lot of productions for anyone who needs it. So I do a lot of I create a lot of shows for entertainment companies. So one of my big jobs that I have in the last half of the year is creating these shows, creating this music, and these shows go and get performed on like cruise ships and holiday resorts and stuff like that. So I just do a whole bunch of stuff, really. That's what Madman Music is, and that's the production label. And yeah, the focus is providing creative services, like bespoke creative services for you know, artists and companies and whoever.
So how many artists do you work with at the moment?
So I work with a select few people. I don't work with loads. I work with, on the artist side, probably about 10.
Nice.
Maybe 10 to 12. It fluctuates, you know, here and there, but generally, and I'll have one-off sessions with different people throughout the year, but generally my consistent ones, about 10 to 12.
Nice.
Decent. So that's my music, you know, that's the production side. That's been going on for about coming up to 3 years now. Halfway through this year, it'll be 3 years that company will have been going for. And then Targett, with 2 T's, so 2 T's at the end, that's actually my last name. So you know, little trivia, people always think I'm trying to be edgy with the 2 T's at the end. And you know, because there's a DJ Target, there's the store in America called Target.
Yeah.
And people are thinking, oh, you're just trying to be quirky, but no, actually that is my name. I am using my actual, you know, birth, you know, certificate, you know, name.
I can prove it with birth certificate.
Yeah, literally my birth certificate, my driving license, it's all there. So that is actually my name. And that is an independent creative artist project. So specializing, primarily working and writing in the pop genre. So I love all sort of branches of music, from jazz to hip hop to trap to EDM to ragtime. You know, I love all that kind of music, rock especially as well. But Target is a pop focused project where I write pop songs. And that is a relatively new venture. I would say I really got that going in sort of the end of 2019, and then I kind of braked for a bit, and then 2020 I really picked it up again. And what I'm trying to do now is that's the project I'm really focusing on, trying to build and grow, because at the moment that is a startup, you could call it. But it's a way for me to express my music and to actually encourage a lot of other people as well. I'm a very normal guy. That I don't have any special talents or anything, but I do have a commitment and a drive, and I enjoy learning, and I'm happy to dedicate some time to things to learn it. And so I think, you know, the whole message of that project is, through the music I create, I hope to inspire others and encourage them that they can do it themselves, and that you don't need to rely on other people to give you the happiness and fulfillment you're after in life. So that's kind of the thing behind that.
I love it as well, and like, because obviously, like, I know you, and I know you've got an incredible business mind on your head. But even like whenever we've spoken and whenever we talk about stuff, you never get that vibe from you. Not to say that you, as if to think that you don't have that business mind, but that's not your driving factor. Like, I will say that's one thing that I've always found from conversations with you, and hopefully people will take from this, is it is the love for it, and the enjoyment of what you do. You know, this is why I didn't think you'd be able to take the week off, because it's like, you people say it all the time, you know, do something you love and you won't work a day in your life and all that. But generally, I feel like you are proof of actually loving and enjoying what you're doing, and making a career out of it, but not to the point where that career is then taking away the love for it, you know?
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think, you know, everyone has different motives in life, don't they? You know, some people want to get married and have kids. Some people, you know, want to be a wag. Some people really want a good career. And I think it's just about what makes you happy in the long term. For me, I knew that I was going to be, I mean, I knew from a young age I wanted to do music. I just loved it so much. I just fell in love with the whole process of it. And as I've dived deeper into the whole music thing year after year, I just love it even more. And it's, I think, you know, we spend the majority of our lives working. So I wanted to make sure that I was doing something that I at least enjoyed, because, you know, if I'm spending the next 40 years working, I want to make sure I have fun, you
Mm.
know, and I want to be able to sit on my deathbed. I know that's quite bleak, but, you know, as I'm coming towards the end of my life, I want to be able to look back and go, do you know what? I enjoyed every moment. And I think that can be quite difficult for some people to comprehend. I was just having this chat the other day with my missus, and she, you know, we were talking about how I never come to her with issues or problems, right? She
Mhm.
said, you know, you just seem to deal with everything yourself. You don't come to me with anything. You know, she wanted me there. She wanted to be a bit more of a crutch for me.
Mhm.
And I said to her, look, what you have to understand is there is no reason to be a crutch for me, because there isn't anything in my life that I dislike or that's a problem. I wake up every day loving what I do. And don't get me wrong, we all have our days where we're like, oh, you know, we're a bit tired, we want to sleep in.
Mhm.
Um, these lockdowns have been quite challenging for sure as well. But generally, in terms of work and my creative endeavors, there's nothing that I don't love or enjoy. I really enjoy the people I work with. I only work with the people I want to work with. Pardon me. So I'm not trying to scramble.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're just, I'm at a really good place, a really good point, and I hope that I can at least maintain this for the rest of my career.
I without a shadow of a doubt, I think you can, and I think, like you say, one of the key things I've just got from that is that, you know, you're not scrambling, you're not trying to work, you know, because especially in the creative arts, and to be fair, even it's not quite the same, but even in like the personal training world, there is often this, you know, scramble and panic of trying to gain clients and trying to, and like me and you spoke about it just a few weeks ago, where it's like, I said to you, I don't want to be at the point where I'm trying to just get numbers. It's not, I'm not playing a numbers game. I don't want to be worried about having like 30 or 40 clients. I'd rather have a smaller handful that are more committed, more dedicated, and that you enjoy training. So even if you are having sort of one of those off days, it's not that bad. That's that, like you say, you might just be tired or just need a bit of a sleep, but it's not a dreading going to work, or, oh God, I've got to deal with this person, or because then that takes
Yeah.
enjoyment from it.
No, absolutely, man. And I think as well, you know, when you're trying to scramble and spread your net too wide to bring everyone in, number one, it looks desperate. People can see right through that. Number two, you're going to attract a very different type of, if we're looking at it from a business perspective, a different type of client than if you maybe charged a little more and brought somebody in who was more committed for the ride and more in there for the long run. You know, with my job, I've actually been producing professionally for about 5 years now, and but my company's only 2-3 years old. But during that time, I've worked with the same people pretty much. The people that I work with, you know, last week and as of next week, they're all the same people I've worked with for 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
I recently took on 2 new people with the label, but it's when you're in it for the long run, you can tell, and you just you develop a really great relationship, and they have a bit of a loyalty to you.
Mhm.
I guess it's like, I go and shop at Aldi, and I feel like I'm cheating on Aldi if I go to Sainsbury's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Aldi always gives me the best prices. I can be in and
Mhm.
out. It gives me what I need. And I've got a bit of a loyalty to it. So,
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
and it's exactly the same with the people I work with. There's not just a loyalty to me, but I have a loyalty to them. And I
Mm.
think, I want to make sure that, I have a very vested interest in them, and I can actually spend time with them and be with them and actually and help them, because I'm not spread so thin across so many people.
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and I think that is very applicable to many different industries where you are self-employed, and when you're having to generate your own business. I think that's a big takeaway for people to take from that is to try not to focus too much on, like you say, casting your net too wide. As I say, I've seen it in the personal training world, and I've been there myself, where I'm like, right, I need to get more clients. I want to get more and more and more, and then you just get to a point where you think, well, how far am I casting this net, and where is, for the amount of time and effort you're putting into doing that, where is the return on investment? Are you actually seeing a return for all that you're doing, or is it better to just work on those that you've got there already, get the commitment, like you say, get that loyalty? Because it's like, people will come to me when they know someone might disappear for a little while, but they might know, right, John's the guy that I need to go to.
Yeah.
We worked together before, and I've had that before. I've had people come back and been like, I've turned down working with a couple of people this year just because like a couple of people asked about prepping and stuff. I was like, I don't really want to do contest prepping this year. I don't feel like I can do it with not knowing where shows are going to be cancelled and stuff. But it's nice that they knew to come to me because we've worked together before.
Well, this is it. It's the social proof. It's the word of mouth. It's all the things that direct back to you, and it only has to be applicable to a small pool of people. It's not like you need to be superstar, so famous people have to know about you.
Mm.
It just all comes back to you. And obviously, you've done that with the fitness world, with the PTing. You've shown, you've had your proof. You've competed several times and been in fantastic condition. You've helped people take their condition up to the next step, and people are gonna preach about that and tell other people and say, this is the man, this is the guy. I would do it. If someone's looking to contest prep, I know obviously you're not doing it, so
Yeah.
so I wouldn't put people your direction for that reason. But if that weren't the case, I'd be like, yeah, he's the guy that you need to go to.
And I
So
think it's because of the time that you do, and if you are known as someone that does invest time in the people that you have got, because I mean, we're not going to delve too deep into this because that's something I could bang on about for ages, but I see
yeah,
it quite a lot with social media with coaches that, so many people go to other coaches just because they're popular on social media. Not to knock them and say they're not good coaches, but it's almost like it's a popularity contest. And then I've spoken to people before and they're like, oh, I was coached by so-and-so and, I never even heard from him, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, you got to look at how people treat the people that are there already, and if you are focused on reaching everyone, it's just easy to forget, isn't it? The ones, retention isn't, someone's always said to me, retention's just as, if not more important than new business. Repeat business is better than new business, I think is the saying.
yeah, I would agree with that, because that's been the foundation of my business and how I've been able to pay my mortgage and my bills for the last few years is retention. Um, and through that, I've then had other people come to me and ask about my services because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that then starts looking at things like the network. So retention and network are kind of two very powerful things when it comes to building and sustaining a business. Um, and I think it's also about what you're looking for as well. I think a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves to be this kind of A-list enterprise type of business. I look at business in 3 ways, right? Of a company, no matter what it is, whether it's fitness, whether it's music, whether you're a video company or an IT tech firm or a lawyer, whatever it is, you've got your 3 stages, right? You've got your startup here
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. You've then got your something called the lifestyle business, and then you've got the enterprise. And I view it in those 3 stages. So if we take music, for example, Your startup is when you're picking up a guitar for the first time, or like I started my company and I wanted to get a lot more private clients. That was the startup phase because I wasn't necessarily making enough to pay my bills at that point through that particular revenue source. As that grows and builds, you then have let's jump to enterprise. You have the enterprise, which in music you could look at as your Universals, your Sony ATVs, your Dua Lipas, right? Okay, these sorts of super famous people. And when you are starting out, when you're a startup, you aspire to be like the enterprise, right? A new phone, if you were starting up a phone company, I mean, it'd be very hard these days, but if you were starting up a new phone company, right, you would look at people like Apple or Samsung and go, God, yeah, no, it'd be great to be on that level, but they're enterprise level, right? And you're a startup.
Yeah.
There's this middle section called the lifestyle, and it's where you've got a really great balance of just enough let's call it fame, for lack of a better term, just enough fame that people know about you and know who you are and come to work with you or buy your product or whatever it is. But you're still able to balance that workload with your personal life, and that's why it's called a lifestyle business.
Right,
It's there, and there's a huge sliding scale to lifestyle. Your lifestyle business could be earning, I mean, it could be earning 25K a year. That could be a really great lifestyle and fits your life perfectly. But then, you can also scale that up to, I don't know, 200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's this mid lifestyle business that a lot of people don't think about, and I like to think that's where I sit. And hopefully in the future that I'll start sliding further along.
Yeah. See, I think that's really great because, like you say, you're not focused on that enterprise thing. I've been guilty of doing that myself.
Yeah,
Like when I decided that I want to start competing in bodybuilding, and then in the beginning stages, I never even considered me even turning pro, and obviously you and everyone else is pretty aware that I want to turn pro, and you straight away, you look to those enterprise people, don't you? Like I'll look at the top of the top, but then at the same time, you can still have a good career and not be at the enterprise level. And it is the same with business. And I would say it's probably the same for my business as well. It's run very well at the lifestyle range. And yes, I would love to be this worldwide successful training company and training loads of people and all that. But then I think to myself, I'm like, in all honesty though, would you? is that what you want?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you know what? I'm a big fan of, I'm a big fan of shooting for the stars, right? I'm a huge fan of that. Like, I think if you're going to go for 10, times that by 10, go for 100, right? If you're going for 100, go for 1,000. I'm all for about shooting for the enterprise level. And I think, because I think that initial spark, that initial drive, that expectation to kind of reach that we give ourselves was the thing that got everything moving in the first place. So it's a fine balance, right? It's a fine balance. You want to think about where you want to be. Like I know where I want to be, and I want to be at a very high level. I know I do. So I am thinking of the enterprise, and I like to let that manifest in my brain. So I like to almost believe I'm there already.
Yeah.
And I guess you have to, because, when I mean, before I came into music and started working full time, I used to work in a kitchen, and I just finished uni. I'd studied popular music performance, and I was living with a couple of friends, and I was working full time at this pub. And I just remember thinking, I hated it. Every hour I was there, I just hated it. I'd hear the ticket machine go, and I'd look at the order that comes through 5 minutes before I'm supposed to close. I've just cleaned everything up, and there's this huge long order. I'm just like, oh no. And I hated it. No, seriously, when I really seethed for that job. It was a great job whilst I was at uni, but I knew it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing outside of uni. So I just quit. And I just basically said, right, I'm going to get a job in music. There's no way. I have to. There's no way I can't not do it. And so, and that initial drive is what then after 1 month got me then working in music.
Wow, that's amazing.
After 1 to 2 months.
That's insane, and that's a very positive way to look at it as well. You wasn't happy and you made a change, and I feel like that's where a lot of people kind of go wrong. It's perfectly acceptable to not be happy. You can not be happy. There's nothing wrong with that. But not happy, if you're unhappy, do something to change that. And me, I'm the same, where we're solutions people. You know, I don't like focusing on problems. Like let's talk about solutions. You know, and if you aren't happy in any situation, especially in business, and like you say, we spend so much time working. You know, like you got to make sure you're enjoying it. And if it's getting you down that bad, flip it. Get out of there. Get out of
Get
there.
out of there. But you know what? I will say, I will premise that by saying, you also have to be prepared to be patient,
Yeah.
because I know I just told you that after a month I got a job in music. Well, actually, it was the month after I quit in December, and in January I was then already doing some work in music, and then it progressed from there. It was 3-4 months later where I then started. Everything was sitting pretty, but what you have to remember is that leading up to that moment, right? I had started playing music at 11 years old. I'd started learning the drums. The year after was guitar. The year after was piano, and I started songwriting. I then went to college and started doing a bit of my own productions. I went to uni and really started focusing on my production and did all of that outside, because I did popular music performance, and popular music performance focuses on live performing. So when you go to a gig and you watch a musician play, that is what I studied, right? So I didn't study on how to make music on computers or create beats or anything like that. I literally did that all in my own time on top of uni. So, and I did that for then 3 years, and worked with a ton of different artists for free, building up my portfolio, building up my skill set. And that everything leading up to that is what allowed me to jump ship and do it so effortlessly. I say effortlessly, so fluently.
Yeah. Smoother transition.
Yeah, it was a very smooth transition. It really was. And
Yeah.
I have to, put it to the fact that, I'd been working on this craft for years.
Yeah.
There's a term called mastery. And I
Mhm.
think in order to do something really well, and quickly and have it work out for you at a pace that you might deem suitable or ideal for the current world we're in, you want to be almost a master at that skill.
Mm.
You want to have that kind of mastery, because you don't, if you're trying to jump ship, if I was to only had just start, if I was working at the pub and I was
Yeah.
working as a chef and I decided I hate it, I want to be in music, but I'd never done music in my life, there is
Yeah.
no way I would have been teaching or
Right.
working at a studio 2-3 months later. There's just no way, because I just didn't have the skill set. I wouldn't have had the skill set. So I think patience is really important.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree fully, and that's one thing I think. If you are listening to this story, make sure you've listened this far and you've got that part of it, because, like you say, it isn't like you've just. I know I said, if you're not happy, make a change. That doesn't mean, like you say, jump blindly, because especially in nowadays, you can't be naive to how the world is. Can you? You can't. This pipe dream of the olden days of wait tables and someone will notice you, that kind of thing doesn't really happen no more. So definitely there is time you have to put into your craft, whatever that is. And I think that goes across more than just artistically as well, because when you say perfect your craft, some people think, well, I don't make music, or I'm not artistic, I don't have a craft. But I don't know, if you designed cars, or you built cars, or you was a mechanic, like whatever you do, that's your craft. Perfect it, put time into it, put the extra work into it, and that's how you perfect that craft. It doesn't just have to be a quote talent, for lack of a better term.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just perfecting it, becoming a master at it, becoming really just prolific, proficient at it. These are all the things that help you take that. Is that right? So there's this saying, right? Jack of all trades, master of none, right? We've heard that term before, but that is actually very misleading, because there's actually more to that phrase,
Right.
where it ends there. So jack of all trades, master of none. And then I don't know what it is after that. I might have to just quickly search it.
Yeah.
It's something to do with, always works out better than the person who specializes in one.
Right.
You know
Okay.
what I
Okay.
mean? Like, it's something of
Yeah.
that nature. It's
Yeah.
something like,
I like that. I
Jack
like
of all
that.
trades, master of none, works out better than the person who specializes in one, or something like that. It's
I'm so glad you told me that, because I've never heard that, and I've always thought to myself, is that such a bad thing to be a jack of all trades? Like, is it because I'm not a jack of all trades, but I've got a few things that I'm good at, and my what I would say, I'm a jack of those trades. And I've
yes.
always thought, right, okay, maybe I should just hone in and focus on one, but I've never been able to just hone in and focus on one. Like I know I don't make music or anything, but I still write songs nearly, well, if not every day, every week. I'm writing something. I write melodies here and there, choruses constantly, and music's always something that I like to, you know, sort of dabble with, and acting's another thing that I'm good at. So I randomly, some days when I'm in the house on my own, I'll talk to myself in different accents. I'll practice different accents and stuff, which is so bizarre. But then it's like, I'm glad you said that, because it's always been like, no, let me just focus on one, because you don't want to be a jack of all trades. But in actual fact, it's not.
But you do. And I know before we spoke about casting your net casting your net too wide, right? You know, we spoke about how you don't want to do that from I guess a client perspective, right? Depends on what your business is, of course, but obviously I don't necessarily do that and don't scramble. But I think the same doesn't ring true for skill sets. One of my things, I hate relying on other people.
Right.
It's that classic thing of if I could be the one to drive a car with passengers, I would rather be the person driving than be the passenger.
Yeah, same.
Right.
Same.
It's kind of like that idea of being in control. Now, you know, you might call it micromanaging, you can call it whatever it is, but you know what it is? I think when you're after something and trying to build something, and I found this with the Target projects and my artist project, you know, when you're after something, when you're trying to build something, you want things to be working at a pace, especially in the era of content where you have to put so many things out. You want things to be done quickly. There's a tight turnaround on a lot of these things, and it's got to be pretty decent quality. The problem is, if you're relying on other people to do something for you, that slows down the process 1,000-fold. I mean, literally. And I'll give an example. You know, so I shot a music video for one of my first singles in 2019, and it was a whole day to film, but that was the actual day of filming. Of course, I had to contact the videographer. I had to send over the script. I had to get someone doing hair and makeup in, and I had to give them kind of the general premise of the video. We then had to shoot all these different takes on the day. And even if I'm working with other artists, you know, sometimes, I mean, for that video that I'm talking about, I did one location, but other videos, there'll be 2, 3, 4, 5 locations that you have to go to. There's different outfits to wear. And then, you know, the videographer gets everything right. Cool. They have to pack up, they go away. And then it's a month before you get the first edit back, you know, maybe a couple of weeks, very quick. Right. And okay. So a couple of weeks, you know, I guess, you know, depending on what they're like for time, but, you know, a couple of weeks to get your first edit back, and then you start giving them the revisions. Okay, you know, this is what I think should change. And by the time you've shot and gone through the whole process, it's a 2-3 month process, sometimes longer. And that, to me, doesn't work, right?
Right.
That won't work for me. Right, because just the other night, I'm releasing a song bi-weekly at the moment with the solo project. I shot and edited 2 videos, right? So a music video being the first one, and then I did a behind the scenes. I did that in 3 hours. Shot and edited. Yeah, that was for my own project. I shot it myself. I've got my own equipment, my camera, and you know, because over the lockdown, I've been learning how to do video editing a lot more and take proper photos. I've learned how to use the camera, right? So every day is a school day, because I didn't want to rely on other people to get professional pictures of me. I didn't want to rely on other people to shoot videos for me, because that seriously limits what I can put out to the world creatively.
Yeah.
And that's, so I hate this idea of relying on other people. And it goes back to kind of my message generally, which is not allowing other people to determine your success or happiness in life. And I think, you know, I don't want other people determining my creative output.
Love that. And was that song that you did that you're talking about, was that Spirit when you released it? That's the one you done in 3 hours?
Yeah, that was the most recent one, Spirit. So, and the one before that was called Botox. There's another one coming out literally a week today. Obviously, by the time this is aired, it'll already be out, called Happier. And over the next week, I'm going to be shooting the video for that, you know, ready for Friday.
So you guys need to listen to that and go and check it out, because to hear that he's recorded that, edited it, and got it out ready in 3 hours. If you see the quality of it, I remember when I saw your pictures, you posted some pictures up, and I was like, look at this fine ass man. When in this lockdown, because I know that you adhere to lockdown restrictions, I was like, when did you go for a photo shoot, please? And you was like, and then when I come around and you showed me, I was like, Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Blackout roller blind, pull it down, similar to what you've got in the back there.
Yeah,
And then,
boom.
you know, couple of lights and you know, I'd saved up and bought just a little point and shoot camera. It's not like this 4K cinema grade stuff. It's literally, you know, a little point and shoot that I just spent a few months saving up for. And yeah, I just learned, going back to mastery, I mastered lighting, right?
Hmm.
I mastered the settings on my camera. I looked at how to use work aperture and the shutter speed and the focus and the ISO levels and stuff like that. I learned how to do that. You know, and then I learned how to video edit and stuff. And yeah, and the output has been more to more to my liking, really, more to what I want to see. And I'm not having to rely on somebody else to do that for me. I can just do it myself. At this stage, which I really like.
I think and it's obviously not on the same level, but it's similar to me with this podcast. Like, you know,
Yeah.
when I first started the podcast, you know, I was saying that, right, I'm going to have this big, famous, successful podcast. And I looked straight at the enterprise, right? And was like, right, okay, missed this whole jump. Whereas now, like, you know, I mean, I've bought a dud mic, I've bought a dud camera. In the process, I've now got myself a better mic.
Yeah.
I've got an adapter which you very kindly hooked me up with, which has allowed me to then get the good camera quality for my phone. I've learned how to use the light, got the backdrop, and it's learning how to make it, but it's works for me, and I enjoy this. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, when everything's lifted and back to normal, I would like to get this to a point where I'm in a studio recording and stuff. But even then, like, not every guest, I'm not going to be able to get some of my guests. Like when I interviewed Rob the other week, I can't get him from Dubai. Oh, by the way, can you come to the studio, please, this Tuesday night? Can you do it?
Quick over.
Yeah, just fly over real quick. Could just be in by 4 and out by 5. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm at the point where I've mastered the podcast thing because I'm still learning. But that's the fun thing about it. So
but you know what I'll say? I've seen you improve so much doing the podcast. You know, I've listened to the first one. You know, I listened to your first episode when you put it up, and you know, it was good. I enjoyed it. But if you compare, say, the audio quality of that to the audio quality of now, and the fact that you now implement video as well, that's a huge step up. And you know what? People notice that, and the small pool of people who listen to this. Well, maybe big pool, it depends, but you know, we're not looking at enterprise, are we? We're looking at that lifestyle, and that's what I'm referring to. So that pool of people in that area, you know, they're going to notice that change, and they're going to be invested in the journey, and one day they're going to see something just pop off and go, oh, you know, I've seen all the process leading up to that. And I've really enjoyed watching your podcast become, you know, more professional, more, you know, starting to really stand on its own 2 feet. And you seriously, man, and you just have to look at any other company that started out, Nike, Adidas, Apple. I mean, look at Apple's very first computers and their first ever logo. Look at Instagram's first ever logo. Look at how YouTube was when it first came out. It's just about getting it started, because you won't know what's going to work and what's not until you're doing it, you know?
Yeah, and I think my thing is, and I've said this to you before, this is like, it's because I've been spoiled, I guess. Like when I was at uni, the uni that I went to, the studio, I think the top one was Sennheiser sponsored. It's like a 1.5 million studio. You just wouldn't have a studio like that. And my lecturer said that, like, this has been overly exaggerated. And so I'm used to hearing certain things, and I'm like, I want everything to be perfect, you know? So I was like, right, with the podcast, I'm going to need this, and this. And then when I totted it all up, I was like, I don't have that kind of money. Do you know what I mean? And this is an experiment, and it's fun for me because I enjoy doing this. It's not like last night I was like, right, I've got to make sure the edit's ready, you know, uploaded, ready to be published this morning. But I wasn't stressing over it because it's actually something I just enjoy doing, and it's progressing naturally. It's progressing, you know. And I mean, obviously, I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to release this episode, because I'm trying to one thing I'm trying to work out is an order, because obviously I want to break up my different segments. But at the moment, I think this is my 6th episode now that I've got just sat there waiting to be released. You know, and I've already got 2 more episodes lined up to record next week, and I'm like, this is cool. This is, and I'm not trying to be an enterprise podcast. You know, I wouldn't, even like one of my close friends, she put it on her story the other day. Shout out to Nelly. She put it on her story. She didn't tag me or anything. She just put it on her story, and I was like, oh, that was everything. I was like, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And
it's so rewarding when you can just influence one person's life or mindset, or you know, it's one of the most rewarding things, and you'll be surprised at who's listening and who's watching. I'm always surprised at people who just will randomly reach out to me, and you know, I'm not big time at all, not yet. But
Yeah.
I'm always appreciative of the people that reach out now and say, yo, this is really sick, I really love this.
Mhm.
Pardon me. You know, occasionally I might put up some Wednesday wisdom on my
I love your Wednesday wisdom.
on my
Love your
IG. Just occasionally. It depends what mood I'm in, I suppose. But you know, there was a guy that reached out and just went, yo, I really needed that today, thank you. And it was like, that was one person, you know, out of the however many people watched the story, one person got back to me, and that was it for me. That was all I needed. And it's not even I need that clarification or validation in the first place, but that was such a rewarding thing that nothing else mattered, you know.
Yeah. Well, you put one up a few weeks ago, and it was create more than you consume when it comes to content. So and I tell you what, that was almost like you kicked me in my ass, because I'd spent a lot of time that day just going through TikTok, going through, you know, just scrolling through pointlessly. And I watched that on Instagram, was like, you know what, this man's got a point. And I remember I went on and I just made 5 TikTok videos, just edited, done the voiceovers, and I was like, cool, I've got 5 videos ready to release now, whenever. And that stayed in my head. That stayed in my head now. Create more. So no, there goes my water bottle. My consumption's got better. I wish I wasn't on my phone as much as I am, but you know, we do have those times. But I will say, like, if I have had a time where I feel like I've been looking at my phone too much, I'll make sure, right, you better have done something productive, because otherwise that's not going to run. That can't run. And mate, that has stuck in my head. So for those that missed Wednesday wisdom, create more than you consume. That is honestly, that is here, but not at the back, subconscious. It is there in the forefront of my mind. Yeah, literally there. Like, was that the prefrontal cortex? I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah.
There we go. It's there. And yeah, things like that are great. But honestly, like, and I think you don't always get, and it's not that we ask for this validation, but you don't always get the true validation on Instagram and social media, I find, like, because there are people listening to my pod. And I remember it was when I hadn't done it for ages. I got a couple of messages like, mate, I was really enjoying your podcast. Like, when's it coming back? I'm like, where was you when I was sharing it?
Where were you at?
Yeah, like, where was you? Can't all come out the woodworks now. But it's good, and people are, but that's not to be. But then I suppose that goes back to what we say about enjoying what you're doing, because you know that one person that you touched and that you got that rewarding feeling from, even if he hadn't have reached out to you, you still would have put out what you was going to put out. Last year when you done the magazine, for those, we'll touch on that in a sec, but when you done the magazine, nothing deterred you from doing it. Every tune you put out was a banger. That goes without saying, but you were still doing it. And it wasn't like, oh, I haven't had any shares, so I'm not going to put this next one out. And you can tell that's when there's a love for it. And honestly, it's the same with now when I'm releasing episodes. I'm like, you know what? Someone's going to listen to it, but either way, I actually like listening to it. How sad is that, right? I've listened to my podcast probably more than anyone. And I'm like, I was just laughing the other day because one of the episodes with the ETC boys, and the next one is a good one we've got. And I was listening to it and I was just laughing, and I was like, you sad git. What's the matter with you?
Laughing at your own podcast. But you know what? It's the same as I listen to my own music almost all the time, every car journey. And when because I've done podcasts as well, for Madman, and so I used to listen to them on my way because I want to see how it flows, and I'm like, what can I teach myself today? But you just have to appreciate the work that you put in. You're proud of what you've done, and the cool thing is that you almost get to relive your moments because you've had those people on your podcast. So I guess in a way you're kind of reliving it.
There's definitely 2 stages for me, like the interview process where we just sit. I call it the interview process, where we just sit and chat and record, and then it's usually when it's in, and that's why I'm glad I don't really edit it much anymore. I just have it straight through, because before, obviously, I was telling you that I was taking out the tiny breaths, which, by the way, I can't remember if I texted you about it or not. I downloaded the plugin.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The noise cancelling plugin from Waves. Bought it, got it on sale and everything. And because I've only got Pro Tools first, they don't allow external plugins.
Yes, so you said you bought Logic, right?
Yeah, well, I'm on a free trial. I've got the free trial of Logic for 90 days, but I haven't tried to put it in yet. So this is going to be the trial one to see whether it allows externals. I'm pretty sure Logic does allow externals if it's just a trial, but we'll see. But even so, yeah, it's like the 2 stages, going back to that, is like I get to record it, enjoy this process of it, which is great, and then actually sort of stop and listen back and think, yeah, because I know I don't know if you're the same, but I'm very picky. I'm a very picky individual, I have to say. I like to think I'm a simpleton, but I am quite picky, and I have high standard based on stuff that I've seen. So if I listen to my own thing and I think it's trash, I automatically think that everyone else is going to think it's trash. Now, I know that's not always the case, but it's almost like, like a kid that is just never good enough for his parents' expectations. You're just never good enough. I feel like I'm never good enough for mine. So if I can listen to something that I'm done and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty dope, then I know, doesn't matter what anyone else says, I'm on the money because I approve it. So that it gets there kind of.
Do you know what? I kind of want to touch on that because you talk about approving yourself, almost that kind of perfectionist mindset, that sort of that kind of creative barrier we sometimes hit when we're trying to, or creative hurdle that we can't quite get over when it comes to expressing ourselves creatively or in any form. There's this whole thing of just do it, and I think especially in creativity there is this idea of this perfectionism can kill our momentum, our drive to do anything, because again we compare ourselves to the enterprise level and think that we have to be at that level and producing same quality results as that in order to put out the work that we've poured our heart into, right? And it's such a funny thing. I love this analogy. There's a pottery class, and it's split into two, right? And they have an assignment at the end of the year. They've got to give in one pot, right? And this pot is going to be marked on how it looks, design, blah 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 blah. But the group is split in two, and they're both given different ways to approach this. The first one can spend the whole year making one pot. Okay,
right.
They can spend the whole year making one pot, so they can really spend their time perfecting it. The next group has to make a new pot every few weeks. Okay,
right.
So they have to create one every, say, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then they have to then start making a new one, right? And then whatever their final pot is, they give into the final assignment. And well, I don't know whether this is a true story or not, but I really like the principle of it. The year goes by and they give in their pots. Now the difference is the group that made a new pot every few weeks, they actually scored higher than the person that spent a whole year making one pot. And it's because the first group, they only had 1 year and one pot. They couldn't afford any mistakes, right? There was no mistakes. And bearing in mind this, this pottery class, they were quite new. It's not like they were seasoned, otherwise you wouldn't be in a pottery class, right? So they had to make this, and they couldn't make, there was no room for error, right? Now, unfortunately, when you're doing something for the first time, it's you don't know all the ins and outs, right? You don't know how to do everything, and you make mistakes along the way. But the guys that were doing it every few weeks, well, if they made a mistake in this pot, hey, don't worry, we're making a new pot next week. And so that allowed them the opportunity to experiment, try out, make mistakes. And then by the time it came to the final hand-in where it mattered, where they would be graded, they were able to produce a piece of work that was well refined and looked great with no mistakes, because they'd already made all the mistakes, and they were able to then fix that process.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I
And,
can believe that as well. That's like, I would say personally, I feel like, submitting one. If they said to me, John, what do you want to do? Work on one or submit one every few weeks? Yeah, all day, rather do that. Because then you're learning as well, aren't you? You're learning from it.
It is, and much like you said with your podcast, you started out with with no microphone and no video, and then you upgraded to a new microphone, and then you got a slightly better video, and it's all these kind of progressions. But that didn't stop you putting it out, and there's so many cases where think about the most viral videos on the internet, right? Or even since before the internet, you remember You've Been Framed?
Yeah, I love You've Been Framed. Yeah,
these videos would be aired every night, and if internet was around, they would be the ones going viral, right? They were all shot on phones, little camcorders, nothing professional.
Yeah.
The most viral videos you see today are shot just on this thing here.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. They're just shot on the phone. That kid yodeling in the supermarket. Damn Daniel,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. None of that is good quality. They don't have the studio quality. They're
No,
just,
that's true.
it looks like a VGA camera, right? Who's old enough to know what a VGA
Nokia
camera is?
32 or whatever. No, 3210 didn't even have a camera, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, bro. And so that, and that just shows that it's not necessarily always about, it's just about getting it out there in the first place. You know, a lot of people won't scrutinize your recording or video as much as you. And these viral videos are a prime example of
Yeah,
why people
that's
help
very,
people.
very true. That is a really good point, because like, even like, you know, I spent a bit of time trying to figure out, trying to understand how the TikTok algorithm works and what type of video should I shoot. And because some you see are incredible quality, like you look at me like, wow, these videos are amazing. Like how, but then like some of my best videos are ones that I literally just, I mean, my most watched video to this day is my calf raises one, when the guy commented and said, "Where this dude's calves."
Yeah, right.
And that literally just shot, like you say, off my phone against the wall, me doing the exercises, boom, put it together, and it's got nearly 500k views. And you think, huh? And then I tried really hard to edit one, done my voiceover the other day. I got a couple thousand views. I put up one a couple of days ago of me doing the calf raises going up the step. People love calves on TikTok. I'm starting to notice that.
Yeah.
Calf raises going up and down. I think the video looked all right. And mate, the engagement I got from it, I've got like another 400 followers since. Do you know what I mean? And you just think like, wow. And there is, and I've got friends like this. I know a guy that used to go to uni with who's a big time perfectionist, you know, like, I love the guy to bits, shout out to Pete, but he would focus so heavily on mixing one, you know, and mastering one and getting one perfected. And then if I compare it to someone like Scott, my best friend, who's just throwing beats out constantly, he's like, I made this trap beat, boom, put it, is what he used to do, sound clicks, like boom, this one go up, boom, this one go up, boom, this one go up. And just because then you're learning. And I'm doing the same with this podcast. I'm learning, you know, okay, this works, that doesn't work. But I enjoy doing it, so it's just going to keep going. And I will get to a point where I'll find a more professional or higher quality way to do it. But that will come. That will come.
That'll come. And you know what? You'll get quicker at the process. And it's like you want to almost exhaust all the options here first before you then progress it. You know, you don't want to, you know, like your first car would never be a Lamborghini unless you're super rich and whatever. But, you know, even if you were super rich, your first car wouldn't be a Lamborghini. You would kind of like, you get them like a runaround, right? Yeah. If you could afford, you know, if you could afford you get them initially just a little runaround, and you allow them to exhaust that first. Or if you're editing videos, right? I used to use iMovie on my computer, and I edited all my videos on there. So I started on my phone, and then I moved to iMovie. I exhausted everything there. Like I'd done it. I knew how to do everything. And I was like, I want to do more, but I physically can't because the application won't allow me to. So then I then progressed to buy the full software to get a hold of that and start using that. And so that felt like a very natural step up. And so then I begin learning that rather than just jumping in at the deep end. You know, again, you don't just jump into the deep end without armbands when you've never had a swimming lesson. You always start by paddling, right? And then you've exhausted that, you're comfortable, then you start getting in, you know, and then you get the armbands on, you start doing that, and then eventually you take them off. You exhaust what it is you're doing currently and then progress.
That, mate, I think is so sick, because that's something I feel like a lot of people really should. I've said that's loads in this episode already, but take that on board. Like, and I can say this because I've been there. I mean, the first time I recorded on, did you ever use Sony Acid Studio?
No.
I'm sure it was called Acid years ago. I remember being at a youth club and laying my first 16 bar, which was absolutely trash because I didn't even realize that I was an MC. I made up my name. It was Bullet on the spot. I laid that 16 and was like, you guys wait, I'm going to do an album. And the big shout out, and do you know what? It's funny this is in my head. It's because he's just posted something on Instagram for the first time. Big shout out to Drax. He used to run all the youth club studios and everything. He was like the guy, man. He's big drum and bass and jungle DJ and jungle head. He's a G. But anyway, he somehow took me seriously and like still let me come to the studio, still let me record. And like, you know, obviously he saw I was an overexcited kid, but I've always been the type of person where I'm like, right, I'm here, but I want this. And you forget, it's like a ladder. You know, you start here and you're like, right, I need to get to the top. And like, well, hang on a minute, exhaust every avenue, build, lay your foundations first, because without no steps, you're not getting up that ladder. But I'll be like, no, let's go to the top.
I think the ladder's a great thing. You know, you can't climb up the ladder without all these little steps, can you?
Yeah. And even so, even if you put in one step here, and then all right, cool, you managed to get a step here. What about all this? You can't, you like you say, you can't just jump that gap. So
it's so much harder. Like you physically can't reach the top. Like I'm short as it is, I can't reach the top, you know.
yeah.
by just putting my hands up like this, you know, I got
Exactly. We ain't got a chance. We ain't got a chance.
Yeah.
But it's true, and I feel like I've learned that over the years now. More so now I take my time, and honestly I think bodybuilding's helped with that as well, because you know, you start training, you start building a bit of muscle, and you're like, right, boom, like, well, I didn't at the time, to be fair, because I never obviously had aspiration competing, but I see a lot of people nowadays do it. They start training, they're like, boom, yeah, that's it, I want to be on stage. They see the stage pictures, they see this and that, and they want that. You're like, well, hang on a minute, there's a lot in between. So I sort of had a conversation with myself one day and was like, well, if that's the case for training, is that not the same for life? And then someone else in my head was like, yeah.
That's why I think the gym is so important and so underrated when it comes to understanding things in life in general, right? Because the gym shows us that hard work and commitment and consistency will yield the results you're looking for, so long as you're patient with it. And I think that has been, for me personally, like I've been training for 12 years, 13 years now. And that for me has always been the thing that has grounded me and reminded me it's okay. Like, we're not in a rush. Like, you know, 13 years training, but you know, are you the biggest guy? No. Are you still getting bigger each time, you know, when you focus and train really hard? Well, yeah, absolutely. And these things do take time, you know. So the gym is such an important grounding thing. And I think I feel bad for the people that don't get to appreciate or experience that.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we've spoken about it before, where I've said I judge people a lot based on their gym attitude as well, and type of attitude they have, because that's, you know, I'm not talking about people that want to compete or nothing like that, but just generally, you know, you're in the gym to improve and get healthier, and like you say, it does help with that grounding process. So I could see, not in all cases, but for the majority, I'll see how someone's attitude is towards gym and how their training is and stuff like that. And generally, you get a good feel for what they're like in life. You know, like someone that comes in is like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like oh, sorry, mate, hang on a sec. It's not charging. Yeah, someone that's, you know, just wants to come in, have shortcuts, take gear, and not really put the work in. Generally speaking, guys that I've seen that are like that, they're a bit like that with life as well, looking for the shortcuts and not looking to put the work in, or not patient enough. And I think patience is very underrated. It's frustrating, don't get me wrong, but it's so important, so important.
It is, and I think you almost, to a degree, have to anticipate patience. You know, like it's funny. I think, you know, the reason why I never have to promote my business now, why I don't need, you never see me promote anything. I'm never putting offers out. I don't do that. That's not my company. That's not what I do. And the reason I managed to get to that level is because I've built up a network of people over the years that now know me for who I am and come to me for that very reason. There is patience in that, you know. There's a new girl I'm going to be working with. She's a really sick artist, local to Southampton. I've known her for years, but it's only now that we've just started getting into sessions together, literally from next week. So, and you know, whereas if I tried to, you know, poach her in the beginning and be like, you know, once I first started my company, be like, yo, come to me now, it wouldn't have the same effect, wouldn't have the same impact. So, you know, patience allows you to build up a workflow, a way to in a business world, allow things to just consistently tick over. And so now that's what happens. I don't have to even think about trying to find work. It all comes to me at this stage with the business. So coming back to the Target project, that's exactly what I'm doing now. I know that everything I'm doing now is setting up the future. You know, in music, obviously you have the physical song here, right? And this song is what we call the master. And having a master is like owning a property, right? So if you buy a house, you would go in and develop it, do it up, right? That's the creation process. And it's the same with the music side. You create the song, you go through that creative process, and then you release it. You know, I want 200 songs released. You know, I wouldn't mind putting out 200 songs, or if I'm in property, having 200 properties before I really start seeing, you know, getting noticed, you know, because by that point, I've then got my catalog, I've got my portfolio, that when people discover me, they can go back and find it and they and that content is evergreen, and obviously I've got everything set up in a way so that royalties will be paid to me, and because I own it, that's really, really important as well. But that'll probably be for another discussion. But
Yeah.
that thing of just having, I know that if I get 200 songs out and then I have a song pop off, I know that people, there's so much for them to go feed on, right?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like if you watch the first episode of season 8 of Game of Thrones, you're not just going to start watching it from there because you don't know the story. You're going to go back and watch it from the first episode and watch all of them right through to season 8 and then the finale. And so that's how I see songs, and with the things that you do, especially when releasing content. If you then have something that completely pops off and gets tens of millions of views, well, if you've already got so many podcasts out there, they're going to go back and listen to your first one because they're going to value what you say. And so you see how that works, right?
Yeah, definitely. As you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, I understand. And that's why I think with some people, maybe it's not your time to blow yet because, or the time's just not right for something because, like you say, if you would have tried to work with this artist before, it just wouldn't have made sense. Now you're fully established, you've got all your everything in it just makes sense to do it now. And I guess it's the same with a lot of things. If it's it just might not be your time yet. You might need to put out a little bit more. And I totally agree with that. I feel that a lot.
I am prepared to release songs for the next 2 to 3 years without something taking off. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to do it for the next 5 years. Geez, like I'm prepared to do that because I know what I'm setting up, and I know that what I'm doing isn't bad quality. I know it's good because I've been working and building up my craft for years now. So I know it's good, and I am prepared to do that for 5 years before something takes off. I'm happy to do that because number one, I love it.
Yeah.
But number two, my goal is I want to be in that position. I want to have lots of songs that lots of people can go feed on.
And again, that makes a lot more sense compared it with the enterprise example, because it's like, everybody, well, not everybody, but the general consensus, obviously, if I'm wrong, please do stop me. But for like an artist starting out or something, they want that hit, they want that smash bang hit. And, I want that chart topper. Okay, cool. Then what? Then what? You know what I mean? And you're like, then I'll, well, no, you've missed it now. But you know what I mean? Whereas if you've got the 200 songs before, then you pop off, people. It's like when I first discovered some of the podcasts that I love, I still have not caught up with, like, one of them is on like 200 and something, mate. I've still haven't caught up, but when I first started listening, I was like,
but you're a super fan now. You are a fan of that podcast. Imagine if you found that one podcast and that's all they had out and there was nothing else.
To be honest, it makes me laugh, right? Because like one of the bodybuilding podcasts that I like, the Real Bodybuilding one, I wait for them each week now. And once I've listened to it, I'm like, I've got to wait for another week. I could actually go back and listen and catch up, but I'm like, well, no, because I want to know what's, and then I'm like, actually, yeah, they've got plenty for me to go on. So, but now I've listened to them all. Now I've listened to that one because there's not as many. I've listened to them all, and I'm like, can we get another episode?
This is it, man. Like, you have to allow people to become familiar with you. They like what you do initially, which entices them in, but then if you have nothing else thereafter, how can they get stuck into what you do? I have found so many sick artists, and I've forgotten who they are now because I know them for one song. I go check them out. That's all they've got. Maybe they've got another 2 songs, but that's it. And it's like, there's nothing there for me to dig my teeth into. And they're trying to be all cool and edgy on social media. Like, you're not Frank Ocean, right? You can't just drop a project, disappear off for months and then come back, because, you don't want to disappear off and be like, leave the people wanting more. There's no people there watching you for them to want more. There's no one there. You're literally Frank Lake or Frank Stream, right? You ain't no ocean, bro.
Frank Pond.
Yeah, Frank Pond, right? Literally, you are Frank Pond.
I'm going to call this episode "You Are Frank Pond."
You are Frank Pond, right? And bro, too many people are trying to. And so I've got so many music friends who, and they're so talented, bro. Honestly, like when I tell you they're talented, they write. I mean, I actually listen to them and go, I wish I could write what you write because they're so talented, man. But they only release like 1 or 2 songs a year, right? And I'm just, that's not enough. But they've shown me demos of other songs that they're working on. I'm like, bro, you've got so much sick stuff, but no one knows about it.
Yeah,
And because everything they're doing has to be so perfect, and it's cool for that moment. Like my mate, he recently released a song, but everything's died down now, and he's kind of disappeared again. And
Mm.
obviously, we're mates, so I'll still talk to him, and he'll still send me stuff to listen to. But I'm like, I want to see more of him now. I love the song. I think it's such a good song, but he's going to disappear off, and that's it. And
Mm.
there's too many cases like that. People try and perfect it too much from the beginning, whereas I think you can perfect it as you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that, and this is why we always have this. Whenever me and Luke like meet up and chat, we'll always say like after a chat with Luke, I feel like I can take on the world. Honestly, I'm like
Likewise, bro.
I'm ready, and like I feel that and not more, and it's even helped me change my mindset on this point. Like I say, obviously, I'm not aiming for, well, I'm saying I'm not intentionally aiming for enterprise level with this podcast, but I'll happily have it at the lifestyle point. But I'll be honest with you, the only return I'm trying to get from it for now is people enjoying listening to it. But like you say, I don't want people to listen to like this episode and be like, oh my gosh, and then smash through all mine and be like, right, well, where's the rest of them? Like maybe in a year or two, this will be a different conversation because there'll be more of a catalog. There will, because I'm going to release one every week, so I'm like, right, at least one episode a week. I did debate doing 2 a week for like once a month I'll put out an extra one, but I don't need to stress myself with that. That's not what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, no, that's cool. And I think for anyone else out there that wants to put stuff out there, build your catalog first, like build your magazine. I'm gonna say it again, build your magazine, because like you say, it would be like seeing a really good front page and like, wow, this looks insane. Opening the book and being like, okay, swipe the page. Okay, what else? What else?
Literally,
what else is going on? Like,
it's that first chapter that you read, and then there's no more chapters. You're like, yo, bro, where's it at?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah. And and it's interesting, and I can literally look at my stats as an artist, and the most recent releases I've had has encouraged people to go back and listen to my old stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that, if I can build that up to a scale that is allows me to generate some kind of consistent revenue, that will be amazing,
Yeah.
And I know it's not about the revenue in the beginning, eventually I'd like it to be that, because I'd like that to be my full-time job where I'm actually writing and producing music for fans. But leading up to that moment, I'm just doing it for the love of it. And actually, like I say, people listen to that most recent song, they go back and listen to others. That's just how it works. When people follow me on Instagram, right, they go back and watch my old reels or my old videos that I post where I'm doing more music stuff. So they see one, they like it, they go check out more, and it encourages them to follow, right? So yeah, man, it's that's really giving the people what they want. Don't leave anyone anymore.
And I think that's what works well for me on TikTok as well, because like the video that I just posted up, like that's, like I say, that one blew up. It's got crazy views, crazy engagement. I mean, there's actually 2 guys in there that are currently, last time I checked earlier, were 34 comments deep arguing with each other. I haven't even managed to comment anything in there. They're just, they are. I'm going to put a comment on there saying gets more popcorn and waits for round 4, because that's what it's like. But I've noticed all my other videos, everything's then lifted. And on my TikTok, if you go through, there's all the training ones, but then there was the ones before when I was just making them for fun. And generally they all lift, and it's and this is why I kind of feel like I just haven't cracked Instagram, whereas I can see it actually working on TikTok, so I'm like, right, usually I'll post something every day. This video has done really well, it's circling, it's still getting engagement, so I've left it for a couple of days. I'm like, right, let's not post anything yet until that one's died down a bit. I've checked today, got another 100 followers. I'm like, right, it's not died down yet, so let's just leave, but there's a difference between, let me post something now, let me keep the people waiting, and then like 6 months down the line, they're like, where have you been? Oh, I'm back. Oh, right, okay.
Forgotten you, bro.
Yeah, they have. And when I made music, mate, when I was younger, I used to listen to songs and be like, yes, this is it. This is going to be the one that, oh my God, this is going to be the tune that makes me blow. I listen back to it now and I'm like, there's no way that was going to make me blow. But I wouldn't release it. And then by the time I do release it, no one cared. Because I was like, is this the song that you was banging on about? And you're like, yeah, this is it. They're like, yeah, this is good. You're like, what do you mean? at the time there was all this hype around it. I'm like, well, yeah, you didn't release it at the time. And I look back now and I'm like, exactly. And then like, okay, cool. What other stuff have you got? And I'm like, well, I've got this coming out and this coming out. And you're like, whereas if I would have had that 50, 100, 200 songs behind, I'm like, listen, I've got plenty for you to go and listen to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is it, man. This is it. I just don't believe in trying to leave people wanting more. Yeah, man. I just, how many times can I say I just? Right.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. You know what I mean? Like, it baffles me. You wouldn't set up a brand new company. You wouldn't set up a brand new bike shop and not like, not do. So this is probably a really bad analogy. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I just can't get my head around people that just hibernate when there's nothing. Then they're not hibernating from anyone.
Yeah.
And you know, it's, and you just want to post for the enjoyment, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think and going back to your algorithm, right? I don't believe, I used to look at things like algorithm, and I still see videos now that say, you know, here's the algorithm, check, you know, this is how we get around the algorithm. And I don't like that, because I think it puts so much pressure on you to be a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Are you there to be an algorithm or to post content?
Yeah, are you there to try and fight an algorithm, or are you there to post content, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people that do the best don't care about the algorithm. They're just posting, they're being them, they're being authentic, they're being themselves. And, you know, most of the people that are going viral on TikTok, right, are, you know, they're not the big celebrities. You know, they're not, you know, Dua Lipa's not going viral on TikTok.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's the people who literally just pick up their phone and start recording and doing something, and that's it, you know.
Yeah,
That's where the quality sort of ends. And I'm guilty of it. Like, I've got some videos on my, you know, on my TikTok, and I've experimented, and I think that's another important thing when you're approaching your content, is to treat it as an experiment, because then you don't get attached to it, and you let go of that idea of perfection. So I've experimented with different types of content. I've done ones where I filmed it in TikTok and edited it in TikTok, and it's fine. You know, that actually got more views than where I actually got my camera, propped it up, and did proper editing in Final Cut Pro on my computer. You know, the one that I did on my phone got more views and more likes.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that, you know, it's just not about what equipment you're using or what quality it is. So, you know, moving forward with my TikTok campaigns, I'm going to be shooting it just on my phone.
Yeah, mate, best. I mean, one of the videos, again, by the time this is out, I would have done it by now, but I've seen at the range, they've had a battle rope, a couple battle ropes there, and I keep saying to Holly, I should buy it. And then I was like, you know what, sod it, I want to do it for my own cut. You know, I love doing the battle ropes. I love them, mate. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a video out of it, because I'll just literally film me walking into the range, finding it, showing the price, buying it, and then little cheeky, like, hey, there you go, do a little voiceover about it. That I can guarantee. It's weird. I get a feel for myself now when I know a video is going to do well. Like, some catch me off guard. Like, I did one that was like, what's the first thing you're going to train when lockdown's over, right? That got crazy. I think it got like 20K views quickly. And even Gymshark commented on it, right? They commented, because I put, I'm going to train legs, and they commented on it. And I was like, oh my God, sponsor me. And I was like, wow, yeah. Got crazy traction. So I was like, right, okay, cool. Tomorrow I'm going to do another one of these. So I done one. What's your favorite? If you only could do one leg exercise, what would you do? Again, views were quite good. I was like, right, let me do it again. Okay, views were all right. And then I've done again, and it was like, it's starting to plummet now. So I'm like, right, okay, cool.
Doesn't that just show you that you just can't crack the algorithm?
No, it literally, right, it was luck of the draw, because I'd done it in the morning. So I was like, right, if I post at this same time, this must be the time that's popping. Well, clearly not. because it hasn't. So then I put up another couple. I put up another one of me doing my lunges. It was did you see my Insta reel with me and Ronnie Coleman?
Yes, yeah, great.
Yeah, so I put that on TikTok. That's where it started. I put it on TikTok. You know, few views, few funny comments. That was it. I was like, right, okay. But when I did the calf one, I had this feeling. I was like, I feel like this one's gonna hit. And I uploaded it at like 6:30. I was like, right, okay. I finished my Zoom session. I was like, right. I feel like, I don't know why, I got this confidence. I know it's going to hit. I woke up in the morning, mate. Like I say, woke up, bang. There was like, I think it was 900 more followers or something stupid like that. I was like, all these comments. And I was like, I don't know why like my gut feeling told me that was going to work, and it did. So my gut feeling tells me this video, of me getting the battle ropes, and then maybe a clip of me using them at the weekend or something, that will back. But that's just literally just going to be my mug walking into the range. It's not going to be a world-class production because, I mean, you see like the training videos that I've done, I was going to put one of them on there because you can have minute-long videos, but I thought there's just going to be no point. No one's going to give us stuff. They're really not. It's not that kind of platform for it.
No, and I could tell you, the higher quality videos I've been posting don't get anywhere near the same engagement that just shooting on my phone does.
It's bizarre, isn't it? And I almost feel like when you're shooting from your phone, it's more organic, isn't it? It's kind of like it's like a gut feeling recording because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, bam, bam, bam. There's no real thought to it, is there? There's just, and then
but there is a bit of a psychology to that. It's because people can just relate to it. Because when you see, that's why celebrities are put on this certain type of pedestal because they're shot in this cinema grade with cinema grade cameras, and they go through this vigorous acting process, color grading, blah blah blah. So they're seen. Like the way that they're seen is unattainable because it's not realistic to just general day to day. However, a selfie camera, anyone and everyone can do that. So therefore you're going to relate a lot more. And that's the theory as to why a lot of viral videos go viral because they're shot on a camera phone, right?
Yeah.
And everyone can do that. And normally they're happening in a place that, like a supermarket, like a car park, like in a house on the sofa. There's nothing, think about all the dog videos that go viral, right?
Yeah.
And things like that, and animal videos. They're just so relatable. People understand that. Whereas you go to the cinema and watch Marvel, you've seen all the, Iron Man flying up and shooting things. That's not relatable. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But no one relates to Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark, in that sense, because he's Iron Man, it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the time it was funny, like with clips like that, like say like clips from like movies and stuff. Like I saw one yesterday that was That's What She Said, Avengers edition, and they were just taking lines from the Avengers film, and then it was cut into That's What She Said, and that was funnier than if that was more engaging and interacting to see rather than them putting up a clip from the movie. Like every now and then someone will share like a clip from Marvel or something. You're like, oh yeah, I've seen this film, this is amazing, but it's not really, like you say, it's not what you're there to see. But someone doing something like that and using the clips not how they're intended to be is more funny and almost relatable because you've taken something like there's a bit, it starts with Ant-Man and he said, I've got this thing and it can go really, really big, and then it cuts and said, That's what she says. And we find that more relatable because we was probably thinking that in the cinema.
We were probably thinking that in the cinema, like, yeah, bro, honestly, it's all about relatability. And that's, if you're trying to crack the code for virality, that's what it is. Make it relatable in every capacity.
But with that, don't try and be relatable because then it's weird, isn't it? It's all
don't force it,
It has to be effortless. It really does. Like my calf one that's done really well, mate. I've done that calf raise thing for ages. And what was jokes, my stairs have actually they bend in a little bit. Because a few people have commented saying, I know he ain't lying. He does this a lot because the way they bow in. And I'm looking thinking, I hope my landlord don't see that. That was like that before, I swear. But that's just something that I do. And then I kept the little duck walk at the end. And like people, it's relatable. And like you say, it's just my phone propped up, And so if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking, I would say, and I did see this once, and I do believe this, don't try and go viral. It's not something that you can do. I watched an interview and I was like, I can believe that. It's not, I mean, I might be wrong, don't get me wrong, but it's why you've got some of these people that do the stupidest things, like they'll just do and then that's 10 million views, right? And you're like, how has that happened? But it's just happened. And that's how the viral thing works, I feel. So don't try and go viral, just let it happen.
I agree. Like if you are in the space of creating, whether that's music, fitness, whether that's anything else, chefing, catering, right? Just be true and authentic to you and to yourself, because people can see when you're not authentic. Like we just have a sixth sense. Just be you. Don't try and be something you're not. And that was one of the biggest turning points for me. I always wanted to aspire to be somebody I wasn't. Not because I didn't like the way that I was, but I just thought that's what I needed to do. And it just doesn't, you know, I put up, again, through experimenting, I just put up some selfies on my Instagram the other day, right? And I think it was about my birthday, 'cause it was my birthday the other week. So I just took a selfie of myself, and I just took like 2 or 3 or whatever. And then I just posted them up on Instagram without any kind of editing or anything, and just went, yeah, it's my birthday. It's been a whack year. Here we go. And
That's
that got way more likes than my professional studio shoot that I did myself. Where I got my screen down, I wore the clothes, I took the photos, I then edited it on my phone. Just taking selfies on my camera got way more likes, and it's because it's just relatable. Number one, it was my birthday, so people can relate to that easy, and number two, it was a selfie. Like, people can see that.
Yeah, of course they can. Yeah, absolutely. And they do, yeah, and they will,
because they can do it too.
Yeah, they can. I'll say something there, John. Say something to me.
Hello.
Yeah, something's changed. I think your microphone might not be in anymore.
Oh no.
Oh wait. Oh wait. There we are. No, they are. Now it's in.
Are we in?
Do you know what? Can I break the news to you?
I don't think the mic's been working through this whole thing.
I don't think the mic's been working, because now when you move closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the mic's working now.
So it hasn't been on this whole time.
It hasn't been on this whole time.
Is the audio sounded all right?
The audio was great, man.
All right. Well then, see, guys, we're talking about experimenting and living and learning. There you go. Yeah. I've just noticed that because my phone keeps saying that the charge is going down. I'm like, but how? The adapter's plugged in. But that would make sense as to why.
Yeah. Well, this just shows that, this guy here, right, John, he doesn't need a professional microphone to drop the gems he's been dropping. So real
even though I'm going to be texting you, I'm going to be fuming inside. I'm burning up right now, but yeah, you know what, it's the good thing is Luke's still got crisp audio anyway, so that's very important.
Yeah, I think being a music engineer for many years, I think it's almost expected for me to have good at least audio. No.
Oh god.
But you know what? You have to fight your inner urge to, because if I record something on my phone, I've even got like one of these lapel mics that plugs into your phone, right? And even when I'm shooting a video on my phone, because of my audio engineering ways, and I want to make everything, especially the audio, sound great, I'm thinking to myself, I can't shoot any video without my lapel mic. Oh no, I need my lapel mic so my voice is crystal clear. And honestly, and this is, it's funny, but it's not at the same time. These are the challenges and battles that we have to face and overcome as content creators. And if you are like, I work in music and audio, I literally like to hear the best sound possible. So it really goes against every instinct I have to hear my voice just on a phone recording. I'm not a big fan of it, So yeah, man, it's like, just please try and find your way over that hurdle, right? And just go for it. Treat everything as an experiment. That was what it was for me. And actually going to the magazine project. So the magazine project last year was just, I dropped sort of 20 songs in 20 weeks. I just saw that as an experiment. It wasn't like, I didn't put so much pressure for it to change the world or change my life.
Yeah.
I did it as an experiment, and that helped me overcome that mental barrier.
And if anyone hasn't checked out the tunes on there, they are incredible. Considering they were coming out weekly, he was just smashing these out for fun. My favorite one is TV Show. Yes. If you are getting high streams and royalties, it's probably got something to do with me, because that song has literally been on repeat.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, bro. Do you know what? And it's funny, right? Because doing that experiment, so I released 20 songs in 20 weeks, right? So I was under a lot of pressure. I was releasing weekly. I was making sure that I was on top of my game. And it's so interesting how there were moments where one song just resonated with a certain person. So I've got another song from that series of releases called Deep End. And that was somebody else's favorite song. They just went, yo, this is the best one you've done. Right. Whereas you think TV Show is the best one, but then I go speak to my dad and he's like, oh yeah, no, that song you did called Oh No. A couple of people said that's the best one. But then I had the most response come from Rubicon, right?
Right. Yeah. I did notice that.
That's one of the songs. That was a really popular song. And that was like my 13th, 4th, 15th song in that I released Rubicon. And for some reason, everything surged again a bit at that point because Rubicon just kind of resonated with people. I don't know what it was, but it just did. So I think that experiment highlighted a few things to me. Number one, you can't be everyone's cup of tea. That's why I think it's great with your content to cast your net quite wide. Be specific in your niche, but cast your wet net. Oh my gosh, I did it again.
Keep casting is wet.
Cast your wet net. Cast your net. Cast your net wide in that niche. Because there were people that loved this song, but then more people like this one, and then you preferred that one. And bro, it was but then the second song I released from that project got me a gig working with Splice, Splice the audio.
Yep.
Right. So I've done a few commissions for them, and that second song that I released helped me establish that commission. But that's no one's favorite song, but that got me some additional work,
Yeah.
So it's so interesting, and I can now speak on, as somebody who has done that experiment, that there is no one size fits all. You're going to have one thing that sits with one person and another thing that sits with another, and you've got to let go of this idea of trying to I always think that whatever I do next is always better than the previous.
Yeah, of course.
But if you don't think that, you just have to remember that, if you release a song or put something out and people love that thing, and then you release another song and people don't love it, they're not going to forget who you are and start disliking the song that they like.
Yeah, of course. That's very true. That's a very good point.
Think about like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, right? Loads of people say Iron Man 1's the best, right? And then Iron Man 2 and 3 are good, but not as good as the first. Just because a lot of people don't like 2 and 3 doesn't mean they won't watch number 1.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean they stop loving number 1. It's not like they watch the third one and go, well, that was rubbish. I now no longer like the first one.
Yeah, of course. If they like it, they like it. Then
they like it, bro. So they like it on a very it's subject to that particular thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So
mate, there's just gems in this. This episode is just. I'm gonna enjoy listening back to this one, like gems after gems after gems.
Bro, do you know what? From both sides, I think I love mentality. I love not psychology, like proper psychology, but I love kind of mindset. I love thinking about things in a certain way. I've worked with so many artists who have felt a certain type of way, and so I guess what I've been trying to do is find that balance, find how to get the yin yang, get the push pull, get that and how I need to approach tasks in order to get the most out of what I can do. I know what I'm capable of doing. How can I encourage myself to do that? So I'm always exploring mindset. I'm always exploring analogies that help, different ways of thinking, different perspectives.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it, man. I'm big into it. If you haven't been able to,
if you're this far in and you can't tell, then I really don't know what to say.
This is it, man. This is it.
Oh, mate. Well, I'm going to start to draw it to a close there, mate. I think that's a good point to stop on. Is there anything that, obviously, plug your socials and everything? I'll put them here on the video and like in the descriptions and stuff. But plug your socials on here so people know where to find you at.
Absolutely, man. It's really simple. It's only Targett. That's what it is.
2 T's.
Yeah, with 2 T's. It's only Targett. So TARGETT, and that's what all my socials are. It's only Targett.
Nice, got it there across the board. And latest single that is out, or you said you got one coming out next week. What's the last one that's just come out?
At the time this podcast is being filmed, the next single coming out is 7 days from today, so a week today, called Happier. And then I have another one 2 weeks after that called 10,000. And they're the next couple that I've got coming out, and then I've got a whole bunch more, but I've not lined them up yet. So
nice, love that. So yeah, by the time people, like I said, I'm going to figure out when I'm going to put this out, just to break up, because I don't just want to have all one segment at a time. But yeah, so by the time this comes out, you guys probably would have heard Happier. But if not, make sure you get your ass to Spotify and all good. Wait, we've discovered now it's Apple Music, not iTunes. iTunes no longer exists.
Yeah, no more. Literally, I was shocked. It's just music, I think. Apple Music.
That's weird. I never actually signed up to Apple Music. They were going to give me a free trial, but I was like, nah, I don't even, because I just use Spotify. I'm like, I've used it for
years. So much easier.
And as well, I'm finding different places to put my podcast on as well. There's a new one, Podbean. So I'm going to try and get it on Podbean as well.
Right, yeah. No, I've heard of it.
Funny enough, my dad actually streams a podcast he just DJs in his shed, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and like does a podcast and puts it out to like family and stuff. And so I created an account to like go on and have a listen and stuff. And I was like, hang on a minute, I could put my podcast on Podbean. Right, let's add that to it. So again, learning more places that I can distribute and put my stuff basically.
Yeah. This is it, man. Every day is a school day. We're learning every day. And I guess we learn up until our very last days, don't we? So
yeah, absolutely, mate. Right, well, bro, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It's not going to be the last time I have you on here, but yeah, mate, it was great to get this. And I genuinely hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I have, because I can't wait to listen to this back, because it's just great to hear, and obviously great to chat to you anyway. So
always, mate. Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it, and keep it on, man. I love it.
Yeah, same goes for you, mate. Right, bro. Well, take it easy.
Lovely.
Peace out, my man.
See you later.